Greetings, Starfighters. Welcome to Mad Science Films. I'm Jimmy P, filmmaker and section astronaut, and as ever, I'm joined by my Chewy co-host.
Oh God, Chewy. James Morrissey, one half of the Mad Science Films team. So, guys, if you've been enjoying the Mad Science Films content, then why not come subscribe to us on YouTube, stalk us on Facebook. Any comments or suggestions, leave us in the comment section down below. Let's crack on with the show.
Nice. Also, guys, please check out our fourth feature film for free over on YouTube. Just search for Little Monster or click on the link in the show notes below. This week, we're campaigning for a forgotten masterpiece of genre cinema, and we are thrilled to bring you another viewer recommendation. This week, we've got an amazing recommendation from our very good friend of the show and former guest, David Melkevik, and he's suggesting we take a look at Dan Rosen's Dead Man's Curve, aka The Curve, from 1998. Right, Jimothy, are you ready for a synopsis?
Let's do it.
Okay, get comfy. This is a long one. Two college students kill their roommate and make it look like a suicide.
Oh.
There you go. Yeah. So Jim, Dead Man's Curve.
Yeah. First time watch for me. Not a big fan. The idea is cool. You know, I think that's a real thing, isn't it? So
I've heard of it elsewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, if your college buddy dies, you kind of get your results for your exams all ticked off, and you're good to go. So I kind of like the idea, and I did enjoy. So Chris, who's teaming with Tim to kill Rand. I kind of like watching Chris trying to discover where he fits, even though he's part of the whole kind of not conspiracy, but the efforts to kill Rand, or part of killing Rand. I kind of enjoyed Chris's turmoil with that, and trying to being then suspicious of Tim or what Tim's motives are, and then Chris with his girlfriend trying to kind of then doing over on Tim, because Tim seems to be double-crossing Chris. So there's a bit of that going on. I kind of enjoyed that to a degree, but overall, I didn't really like the characters in it. None of them were really likable. I don't know whether it was just the acting wasn't that good, but I just didn't really connect a lot with them all. Tim, I found Tim fucking annoying. How nobody picked up on this sarcastic, narcissistic twat, and is like, everybody's just really stupid and just doesn't pick up on it. He's basically suggesting with the whole film that like he's part of this, or he's the main reason why Rand's dead, and he's kind of toying with that. And like Chris, he's like toying. So they're being investigated by the police, and they're trying to come across like they're innocent, and then Tim's pretty much setting Chris up in front of him and the police that he's done it. And then after the police go, he's not pissed off. He's not more like, hang on a minute, you're clearly trying to set me up. It just didn't, I don't know, it just didn't feel real. Like, do you know what I mean? And there was this heavy pop culture saturated, it was very saturated in pop culture, and it was a bit too much for me. And I think perhaps if they just focused on the main story, like this, like stuck to like telling a thriller, and it's all this references to like films and music, and it's like just it felt like it was distracted as well from the main plot of the film. So not
absolutely,
a big fan.
Absolutely, no, agree. I think our thoughts pretty much align, man. This was a first time watch for me. I don't think I was even aware this film existed.
No, not me.
Whether it was just because it was part of this post-Scream teen drama, thriller, horror glut that we had. There were so many films that came out after Scream which were like, okay, let's take these TV stars and stick them in these things, and people eat that shit up. So I didn't see that. I don't think I missed out much. As you said, though, I love the concept. I think the concept is a great kind of concept. I'd heard of the concept generally in the past, I don't know, and it felt like a really good Hitchcockian kind of setup. That idea of two people planning to kill somebody, make it look like a suicide, just to see if they can. And yes, there's the grades and getting into Harvard and all this crap. It is amazingly 90s, and I think this is why Dave was kind of recommending it to us. It was so 90s. Obviously,
it's so 90s. Yeah,
Kerry Russell and her perm hair is
man,
so 90s. That is insane. Shot in a very warm 90s kind of way, but then cut with those extreme blues every time it's edgy at nighttime. College kids, their beautiful 90s hair and 90s clothes, and like as you were saying, the pop culture stuff, like going to the CD shop and checking out your CDs, and and you said the pop culture thing. It didn't need it. It was like they didn't have confidence in the concept of the film enough that they had to do like the Deer Hunter references and all these other things. I was just like, what's that, man? You reminded me of a better film. I want to watch Deer Hunter now. And I've got no problem with characters being unlikable, okay, but they've still got to be entertaining. But Matthew Lillard is basically playing his Scream character, that he plays in Scream. But the difference being is that in Scream, he is just a supporting character. He's not even like one of the main characters. This is too much Matthew Lillard, and this is Matthew Lillard as like one of the lead actors. And all through it, he was annoying. It wasn't that he was unlikable. He was annoying. And I was just like, dial it down, Lillard. Come on, man. And then compare that with Michael Vartan, who I remember seeing in the TV show ALIAS. And I thought he was great as the straight lace, I think FBI or CIA agent in that. Great, fine. But in this, he's too blank. And as you said, he isn't reacting enough. So at most, he's a bit of a whiny bitch about, I've got to get into Harvard. It's everything. So either I was annoyed when Lillard was on screen, or like bored by Michael Vartan's non-presence in the film. So I absolutely agree, mate. I kind of put it down to, it's a great concept. They're good actors. They've been good in other stuff. I think the blame has got to lie with Dan Rosen. Now, Dan Rosen directed one other film. And the only other thing of his that I've seen was he wrote a film called The Last Supper, which got a bit of a boost because it was like the film that was released after Cameron Diaz made it massive in The Mask. So everybody was like, who's that girl? Let's see whatever film she's in. And again, it's a very 90s dark thriller with what's supposed to be comedy edges, but again, and I've got to be honest, man, there are so many twists at the end that I just didn't care. I didn't care if it made sense or not. There's like a twist and then another twist, and then
the ending didn't make any sense to me. I don't know whether
it might have done if I cared enough, but by the end I was just like, all right, if that's what if they're quadruple crossing each other, then sure. So whatever. It just felt like that 90s thing that they were trying to be too dark and edgy, but what they ended up being was just annoying. Which as I keep saying, man, I am absolutely fine with unlikable characters. A great example for me is George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino and From Dusk Till Dawn. They do horrible, terrible things, but I am entertained every second they are on.
I think that's what I mean. Not like as in I don't think they're nice people. I just wasn't interested. I just didn't like them. I didn't care. They were 2D. There was not much going on. They didn't really add anything to the story. I didn't really know the character. Like the characters had no depth to them. They had no. It was just really just a poor script, I think. And then
I think they could have developed it. It has all the ingredients there, and they could have made some comments. They were doing a class thing as well about Michael Vartan's character. He's not a rich kid or whatever. He's there, and so that's also Matthew Lillard had like some dominance over him because he was a spoiled rich kid, and Rand was too, and all this kind of thing. So I think all the elements were there. It was just where they chose to focus.
I
think the film was weaker than it could have been.
Yeah, it did have a lot of potential, and I think there was a lot of potential there. But like you said, the character Tim was just too much. That Chris was not enough, and I think starting with them pretty much decided they're going to do it. That was a bit like, well, let's have a bit of a build up to it. Let's find
Possibly,
your
yeah, yeah, yeah,
backstory,
yeah.
why we're doing this, and how you two come together. Because you two don't seem like you would have been friends otherwise. You know what I mean? The characters just didn't come together. So.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot
yeah,
of
I
gaps, a
agree.
lot of
I agree. So sorry, Dave.
yeah.
We're not
Sorry,
massive
Dave.
fans, but I agree it is the most 90s film I have ever seen. So yes, I can agree with that. So Jim,
Mm.
let's pretend that we like the film more, and we want to badger a boutique Blu-ray label to put this bad boy out. Who are we going to go to put this film out?
I don't want to see release, to be honest. I found it difficult to find many labels, to be honest. But I mean, if you go to like Shelf Factory, they got a couple of 90s thrillers there. They
Yeah,
got Cuffs with Christian Slater,
nice,
and they got
much better film.
California. Yeah, they got California as well with a K because it's cool.
Yes, with Brad Pitt.
Another 90s thriller.
Yeah.
Perhaps Arrow again. They got some cool 90s through. I mean, True Romance is on there, which is probably one of the best of that era. And also Wild Things too. So yeah, check that out. So yeah, maybe Arrow and Shark Factory, maybe a couple more. But I think this film really fucking fatigued me, to be honest. And I was like, oh, I don't want to find you a place. I don't want to find you a home. You know what I mean?
But we still like Dave, though, right?
I love Dave.
Great.
Dave can come back from this. There's room for Dave.
Oh,
You don't have convinced you.
come on, Dave. Let's get. All right, Dave. We need a new recommendation. One that we're
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I had a similar thing. I went with 101 Films. They've got Black Label, and again, they've put out some kind of 90s crime thriller stuff like The Cooler and stuff like that, which the way it's shot and edited felt similar. Different subject matter, but yeah, I thought 101 Films, yeah, they'd be well placed to put out. So yeah, okay, cool. So Jim, you've sat through all of Dead Man's Curve, and you've decided not to go to bed. You decided you're going to salvage the night and watch another film. What film are you going to follow up with?
I mean, the original Scream is pretty cool, and if you want to see Mr. Ilford, is it Ilford? What's his name again? Lillard. What's his name?
Yeah, Matthew Lillard.
Matthew Lillard doing that role, but in a better film, and not so much.
I rewatched that recently with my kid, with Belle,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, how none of us like guessed from the first second that him and
Crazy, isn't it?
I mean, spoilers, but
yeah.
him and Skeet Ulrich. I mean, the number of like meaningful looks they give each other is
Yeah. It's kind of mad that he wanted to do Scooby Doo as well, isn't it? Because that's kind of similar to Scream, is a what's behind the mask kind of thing,
Yeah. It was the role he was born to play.
There we go. So go watch Scream, the original.
Cool.
You can watch this film is a little bit sooner, but it's a dark teens, murderous, and all that. Heathers, that's 88.
Yeah, that's one of mine. That's one of mine, definitely.
Yeah. You got things like
similar with the murder suicide.
Yeah. But there's a film I watched in its 80s by Francis Ford Coppola. It deals with teens. It's based on a book, but I think they really the whole drama and the reality behind death, and it's just better characters. If you want to like watch a film that involves young actors actually acting in a really good story, go watch The Outsiders. It's dark cast, Patrick Swayze, Rob Lowe.
I haven't seen that for years, mate.
Really good film, and it's done really well. So yeah, there's all murder and friends and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, but done much better. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I had Heathers as well. Most of my recommendations are in this kind of post-Scream teenagers or college students fucking each other over in some sort of way. So there's Killing Mrs. Tingle, aka Teaching Mrs. Tingle. And again, that's like they've got a teacher in their sights and there's Cruel Intentions. Do you remember that one?
Intentions.
Michelle Gellar. Again, that's teens fucking each other over. Literally in some cases. And yeah, done really well. You mentioned it not as a recommendation, but another one, great film. And yeah, you said great release from Arrow, Wild Things. Brilliantly done. Again, very twisty turny, but the twists in that are brilliant, and they keep you the whole time. Yes, so Heathers, or its weird quasi remake Jawbreaker. Did you ever see that one?
No,
Like
no.
a late 90s, similar time period to Dead Man's Curve,
Yeah.
with Rose McGowan in. So Jawbreaker, that's another one. There's Drop Dead. I mean, I've got loads, mate. Drop Dead Gorgeous. That's another, yeah, teens murdering and all this kind of stuff. There's a cheerleaders become bank robbers movie called Sugar and Spice with
Oh,
do you remember from
yeah,
American?
yeah, okay, yeah.
Pie? So there was that, and then a later one. I think this was like early 2000s. Was Murder by the Numbers with Sandra Bullock, and it's like, two kids decide to kill somebody just to see if they can get away with it, and Sandra Bullock is like, the detective on the case or whatever. It's like, again, a kind of a remake of, oh god, Hitchcock's Rope, where again, there's two students who decide to kill somebody to see if they can, and again, I think it was also made as Compulsion with a young Dean Stockwell. All of these films are much better than Dead Man's Curve and will give you what you're looking for, unless you're looking for too much Lillard concentrate, double concentrate, and very 90s. Just
too much, isn't it? I think I've got a special kind of diabetes now after watching that. It's just too much. Too much.
So any of those films I would recommend watching instead of.
Sorry, Dave.
This is like the harshest we've ever been on a film. And it's like, as objectively as a film, it's competently made.
We don't speak about this before we do it. So it's not like we're just ganging up. Like, I don't know what you were going to say and vice versa. So
this is true. Usually we either both love a film or we disagree. Very rarely do we both decide to kick a film when it's down.
Yeah. This must be a bad film.
Sorry, Dave. We love you, Dave.
Yeah.
Right, you guys. Okay. Have you seen Dead Man's Curve, aka The Curve? What did you think of the film? Really? What do you think would go nicely with Dead Man's Curve? Or otherwise, guys, what films do you think deserve the beautiful release?
Yeah.
Or some version of those words. Let us know in the comments. Jim, what else can these people do?
So guys, if you do like this video, then please hit the like button. If you've been enjoying the Mad Science content and want to subscribe to our channel and come follow us on Facebook. Any comments or suggestions, then leave those in the comment section down below. Thank you and goodbye.